First thing I want to talk about is a little bit about why we want to use heart rate in physical education and why we want to use it specifically in public schools and all school settings in order to collect objective data on student performance. So the first thing is that heart rate is the first look inside the human and child body to see how it is reacting to exercise and stressors. So that could be one of many areas of how it will affect the heart going forward. By utilizing a heart rate monitor in particular, you're now having that interrelatedness with the student and their own body, and then how their body reacts during exercise and play. Me at the elementary level here, most of what I do is at the younger grades, and to introduce them to heart rate, it's mostly about when does their heart feel the same when they're outside playing, mostly at recess or in sports outside of school. So I relate that to when we're wearing the heart rate monitors in the phys ed class during different types of activities. I'll often stop students in teachable moments and have an instance where they can reflect on their level of intensity for the activity they're doing now, what their heart rate is at that level of intensity, and how it makes them feel, so their perceived exertion as well. So combining all those three things, the heart rate is an objective measure that allows the teacher specifically and then the students to analyze what the students are doing real time. At an elementary level, I believe it's appropriate to introduce heart rate at a 4th grade level. Here in my school district, I've been able to introduce the optical sensor heart rate system, which is a forearm or bicep worn armband. And this optical sensor allows for easy on and off use for even 4th graders and 5th graders. My elementary school goes up to 5th grade. And when I first introduce heart rate, I introduce it with the introduction of the pacer. So my 4th graders only wear the heart rate anytime we're doing a pacer style activity. So that is the introduction to the pacer, which for myself, I do a team of 3 relay run for the pacer, allowing students to really view their max heart rate and see how progressing through the pacer run affects their heart differently at different laps, and then at what lap does it seem that they're no longer able to achieve the distance within the amount of time given. At that time, when a student is no longer able to achieve that, we mark down in the system what their max heart rate was, and that's how I adjust the system accordingly. So in 4th grade, I'm able to get students' baseline max heart rate by the use of this pacer practice protocol. Going into 5th grade, it's used much more in their curriculum, and it's embedded within every unit except for one. The heart rate is not only a part of the pacer run, which we do a baseline, a mid-assessment, and a post-assessment at the end of class, at the end of the school year, making for 3 times that we collect data specifically on a pacer run in 5th grade. Students do the pacer run independently, and while they do their pacer run based on their individualized max heart rate, that's when we know when to stop students and when to tell them to regulate their heart again, and based on their performance, is that when their performance is beginning to decline in the pacer run specifically. Good, valuable data is able to be gained from just analyzing the pacer run. After embedding it within the rest of the curriculum, we're seeing similarities between lessons of how high a student's max heart rate will get and how much time in their moderate to vigorous physical activity zone they are by using the heart rate system. Currently, I'm using the HeartTech Plus system, which, like I said before, is the optical-based arm sensor. This has allowed me to much more easily introduce the younger students to the heart rate system as opposed to the chest strap wearables that I've had in the past. We are able to maximize our time better inside the gymnasium using a system that's on the arm or the bicep. Also, the ease and feasibility of the application and the web portal make it very teacher-friendly and producing the exact reports that are needed to prove to both ourselves, our parents, our administration, and our district that the level and quality of physical education going on here in our schools is meeting the needs of the learners in the 21st century. Using technology to achieve 21st century teaching and learning skills is the wave of the future. And allowing heart rate to be the guiding force in physical education allows a teacher an objective view of how students are working and how they are actually progressing health-wise over the course of their public school tenure. When using heart rate within the curriculum, each unit that the students partake in has a specific requirement for that unit. And in order to identify those requirements, we use a research-based approach in order to develop a comprehensive rubric of evaluation. And this evaluation rubric is based on moderate to vigorous physical activity, at least 50% of the class time. My classes last for 30 minutes, so my baseline goal for a teacher is to have every student in my class moderate to vigorously physically active for 50% of the time, or 15 minutes. By the use of this system, we pre-program and individualize everybody's heart rate to 60 to 80% of their max. At a 5th grade level, the max heart rate is 210 beats per minute. 60% of that is 120 beats per minute. The bottom of my moderate zone is 120 beats. When a student enters that zone, the software begins to calculate how much time a student is spending in that zone. Based on the student's performance in the individual class, a student receives a 1 to 4 grade based on their performance in that day. And that performance is moderate to vigorous physical activity. So the lesson structure is key when wanting students to achieve this level of movement, and also the amount of instruction is key that the teacher is giving. So as far as heart rate goes, it is the only objective measure we as educators across all content areas have to evaluate our students. There's no math test, English test, science test, or technology test that is not without a human input. Heart rate is the only objective measure in schools to truly see how a student is performing, to what level they're performing while being in your class, as well as able to correlate that performance to a healthy and active lifestyle. And that is our goal here as quality physical educators, is to propagate that love for a quality movement and health enhancing movement. It's not just the walking that we want. While walking is good and definitely elevates our brain levels and ability to learn, walking is a very low level activity. When they come into physical education, we want them moderate to vigorously active to really stimulate their thinking and get their minds ready for the content they'll learn in class. And the heart rate monitor is the only way to ensure that students are receiving this level of education. Thank you.